Hello everybody, welcome to today's video. This video is based on a question I was asked recently by a student in class, and it's about the difference between the two verbs to book and to reserve. What is the difference? When do we use which word? Well, in most cases they are kind of interchangeable, but there is a subtle difference to their meaning. So if you're not quite sure when to apply which word, then please stick around and hopefully I'm going to clarify this for you. And if you're admiring my new hat, I have been crocheting recently and I think it looks pretty stylish. But anyway, let's get into these two verbs. Okay, so let's start with the verb to book because it's probably the most commonly used out of the two, and it's the most informal and the most casual. When we use the verb to book, there is an implication that there has already been some kind of payment, some kind of financial transaction. There is already money involved. It's a commitment. So for example, I have booked flights to Paris next week. Or I have booked tickets to the concert, or I have booked a hotel room for two. So in all of these examples, you would have had to prepay for these services or for this event, and money has changed hands. So what about the verb to reserve, which is probably the slightly more formal expression of the two? Well, we use the verb to reserve when we are asking somebody to set something aside for us, when we are asking for something to be kept available for us, or when we want something, a spot or a seat saved for us. So for example, I have reserved a table for 4, or I have reserved a conference room for the meeting, or I have reserved theatre tickets for next week. When we use the verb to reserve, it doesn't usually require a prepayment. So you may have saved a spot or saved a seat, reserved a seat, but because we haven't paid, plans may still change. Okay, so let's try to cover the more native uses of these two phrases. So for example, if you are planning a trip and you are buying bus tickets, train tickets, flight tickets, or you're going to the movies or to the theatre, you're definitely going to use the verb to book. I've booked tickets to the cinema, I've booked a flight to Tokyo. So these have been prepaid for. And if you are using the verb to reserve, this is probably going to be in slightly more formal settings where no money is going to change hands really until the event occurs. So for example, if you're going to a fancy restaurant, you may call ahead and ask, I would like to reserve a table for 4. So you are asking for them to save this table for you. Or in a business setting, you may call ahead to an events organizer and say, I would like to reserve a conference room for my business meeting. So again, they will keep this conference room available to you, but they know that plans may change in the future. So that is the main difference between the two, but definitely don't worry if you're not sure which one to use, because they are very much interchangeable in most situations. But if you do want to know the technical difference, then to book is when money has been exchanged and the commitment is definite, and to reserve is more like a request when you're asking somebody to save something for you for a future date. So I really hope that helps and it clears up the confusion for you, and I will see you next time. Bye.